Some of my critics say that some of the language used in biblical passages was never intended to be used in a literal scientific sense. It was for an ancient people who did not have this understanding of science. It is meant for only spiritual purposes. It is a figure of speech. But I say no. I say all of these terms are meant in a literal scientific sense and thus are accurate in this sense.
How many heavens are there? Well, in modern science classes, one would never phrase a question this way. There are certainly levels of the atmosphere. Within the solar system, there are orbits of specific planets and moons. And then there are orbits of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. There are movements of different galaxies. And so the idea of how many heavens and how would one count them, this does not apply to our modern understanding of the atmosphere or the universe. In the ancient world, thinkers did not have the benefit of our scientific discoveries. And so they spoke differently and they asked that question. How many heavens were there? How many layers of heaven were there? And many who turned to biblical passages found a very long number of passages which referred to heavens in plural, to the heaven of heavens. And St. Paul, in a dream, visits the third heaven. And so this cemented ideas which were common in the culture that there were multiple specific layers of heaven. In addition to the writings which are currently included in the Old and New Testaments, ancient peoples had many more books which they considered sacred, or at least some groups did. And very often these are referred to as the Apocrypha. And in many of the apocryphal books, there was more deliberate attempts to number the heavens. So, was it the second heaven where prisoners hung? Was it the third heaven where there were trees, and perhaps this was paradise? Was the fourth heaven near the phoenixes? Was the fifth heaven where the soldiers and giants occurred and the moon went out specific doors? Did the eighth heaven contain the stars of the zodiac? Or other writers might consider the first heaven to contain the great sea from which rain would fall. Or might there be 72 heavens? Might wisdom reside in the sixth heaven? And so, therefore, in addition to the canonical books currently recognized, the ancient peoples had many other books, and many groups considered these to be sacred, which attempted to more specifically number these heavens and explain what was in each. Philo felt that there were 7 heavens. Some contained planets, one contained the stars, and wondered whether the tree of life was located in one of these heavens. Basil took references to plural heavens, the heaven of heavens, and St. Paul's visit to the third heaven literally, and criticized those whose philosophical musings on the nature of the heavens differed from his. Augustine considered these passages to be literally true, which referred to multiple heavens, and wondered which ones were physical versus spiritual, or contained the waters of heaven, or the firmament. He admitted that with other philosophers sometimes referring to 7, 8, 9, or even 10 heavens, he wasn't quite sure which one Paul visited, etc. But he did consider there then to be multiple literal heavens. Isidore argued that there were different heavens and described some of the characteristics of some. Alfric attempted to describe the heavens and took references to heaven of heavens and St. Paul's visit to the third heaven quite literally. Aquinas noted that other thinkers varied in whether they concluded there were two heavens or three heavens, and he replies that there may be many heavens. Luther acknowledges biblical references to multiple heavens and notes that philosophers and theologians have long debated the number of these. He seems to feel that it would be better to stay silent on these topics and confesses he does not definitely know the number of heavens. Melanchthon criticizes those who hold that the earth moves and that the highest sphere of heaven does not.